Well, hello, all my favorite people from the internet. Thanks for stopping by at the Sprue again. So, this is kind of be a combination of both a Saturday night stash spotlight and an unboxing because hey, I got a couple of new kits this week and they're really cool. So I want to show them to you. Pay no mind to the background. We're in Ma Sprue's craft room at my mom's house, so this will do for a studio for the time being. So the first one that we're going to look at right now is going to be the new Italeri Volvo FH Plat deck. So this is a new version of the current generation of the Volvo FH kit. So my production assistant and I are going to show you a video of we're going to go through the instructions and then do all the sprue trees first, and then that'll be the show. So let's check it out. Let's take a look at the instruction sheet here for the Volvo FH Plat deck. I'm trying a new camera setup here. I finally was able to achieve the mount that I've been looking for doing overhead shots. So let's see how this goes, because in order for this to work, I can't see what the camera sees while I'm doing this. So what do we got here? So we have a little bit of description about the truck, warnings to, not eat things that you're not supposed to, not do things with bags you're not supposed to. So we have our delightful 2-page spread of the Spruemanak here. We have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H sprues, an L and an M, photo etch tree, and 6 tires. Alright, suggested colors for painting. So here we start building up the chassis. So we have the frame rails, 3 of the cross members. This looks like the tractor protection valve. Oh, we got some more little bits and bobs up here. That kind of looks like an air dryer to me. And assemble our rear axle. So we have the front and back halves. It looks like, ooh, this truck's got disc brakes. Ooh, fancy. So we have our disc brake backs, the air cans, which are each in 2 pieces, differential cover. When I very first looked at this instruction sheet, when I first got this kit, I saw this step of the instructions and I saw these 2 bits here, and I was like, what am I looking at? This isn't a tandem truck, this is only a single screw. And then I realized this is the top-down view of the suspension. So we have the lower suspension brace, and we have airbags that are in 2 pieces, front and rear. So those glue together, and then they go onto the suspension brace, and they should look like this when they are done. And then you add in a sway bar and put that all onto the rear axle. And we have a giant air tank here in 2 halves with its... Oh, that's interesting. So this is braces, and it's telling you to put some weight in here. Okay, so if you want to display this with the cab tilted forward, you put some counterweight here in this air tank, and that'll make it sit level. That's clever. So then we put our rear suspension onto the chassis, and then we add in a whole bunch more cross links. So we have shock absorbers, cross links, and brackets, and some more adjustment links, looks like. And then moving on to the front suspension, we have our leaf springs for the front, shocks, the front axle. which we have our spindles here with the disc brake backings, and we have some mounting tabs to go to the spindle, because, you know, Italeri truck kits all have posable steering. So you got your tie rod that goes into these brackets here, then you have to swage the ends with a hot knife so that they stay in place, but they don't use glue, so they're still movable. That's our 2 halves for the air cans, the brake cans, sorry, that go onto the spindles. And the front axle goes into the chassis. We got our sway bar, shocks. Now this, this looks very familiar. It's about, you know, 2 feet in front of me for most of the time, because this is the exact same engine that's in the truck I drive every day for work. We got our 2 engine halves, oil pan, front timing cover, rocker cover, or injector cover and valve cover, I guess. There's more pieces for the transmission, transmission pan, transmission rear thingy madoodle. This looks like the I-shift mechanism because it's an automated manual. Exhaust manifolds. Looks like the coolant inlet for the EGR cooler. Filters, 2 halves of the turbo. 3 pieces for the turbo. So it looks like the hot side has 2 halves, and then the cold side goes onto that. And then we have 2 pieces for the air compressor, and this looks like a transmission filter. More oil filters, or wait a minute now. These would be the fuel filters. These are the oil filters. Yes, there we go. I don't know what that is. I don't know if I have that. That might be the fuel filter. And it's relocated somewhere because there's many fuel filters. Engine mount, alternator, power steering pump maybe. Intake manifold, another reservoir for something, PCV. Oh, and there's another view to show you how it gets routed. We have our belts going on here, and our lower engine cross member that will go into the chassis. More the air intake, more lines. Modern trucks are very complicated, and I don't necessarily know what all of this stuff is, even though I look at it all the time. I just make sure that it's not leaking, or it's all attached. This looks like the coolant in and outlet. I would say more for the coolant. It might be for the intercooler coolant, because the pump would be on the engine to run the intercooler coolant. This looks very familiar. We got the radiator and the fan and the reservoir, although on my specific truck it looks like this at the top, but then there's another little extra bit that comes down here to give me a little bit more coolant capacity. These are coolant lines, okay. That's for the intercooler, okay. And now we put this rear suspension cross member in. Gives you a little bit of an extra added detail. And put the engine in to the chassis. We have our prop shaft. What do we got here? Oh, this is the exhaust outlet going into the the cans, exhaust system. I forget what that's called. It's after cleaner. Yeah, after treatment. That's what it is, the after treatment system. So you get your 2 halves for the DEF tank, or AdBlue if you're European, and there's decals for it. And then this is where the exhaust goes and gets burned to get the soot out of it. And holy crap, there's a whole lot of pieces for that. So 2 halves, then the shield, and then some plumbing, the bracket, and then it goes onto the chassis. And this shows you what it looks like once it's all assembled. Okay. Now, this is definitely a component that I don't have because mine's a conventional cab truck. So this is part of the cab suspension and locking mechanism. And a whole lot of parts. Airbags, shock absorbers. I've got air tanks and battery box. Another bracket goes over onto the chassis here. And we have a whole bunch of more little decals to put on. 2 for the air tank and 1 for the battery box, looks like. Okay, now we have the air filter. So 2 halves for the housing, and this is the inlet, and this is, sorry, how would this go now? Oh, this is what comes in from outside. This goes to the engine. Oh, no, I got that backwards. Air from the outside comes in here, gets filtered. This goes into the engine. Aha! Because here's the more of the ducting that goes up the back of the cab. Got some mud guards. Another detail shot to show you there. We have some checker plate for walking on. More brackets that get attached. We got our mud guards for the rear that are in 3 pieces. And for the tail lights, or this is the tail light, this is the license plate, and it gives you detail information for how to paint that. And then we have our fuel tank that goes in 2 halves with our fuel cap, and that goes onto the chassis. 5th wheel plate, looks like this has a slider. So these are the sliding rails, and then this is the cradle for the 5th wheel. Put those together, put those on the chassis. The other side of the mudguard, another fuel tank bracket. Paint detail for the tail light. We have our aero skirts that go on with some tread plates for stepping on and some lights. And those go onto the sides of the chassis. And we have more steering components here. So the steering box and then the linkages, more swaging so that they move with opposable steering. And then those all go in there. Man, step 23, we haven't even gotten to the body yet. Woo! All right, now we put in our wheels. So there's 2 sizes of tires. The rear tires 315/80 22.5, and the steers are 385/65 22.5. So these are the inner and the outer wheels. And looks like we have, what do we got here? We have options of either kind of hub covers, dust caps, I guess. And then that's a trim ring cover for the lug nuts. And then we have our 2 different style of drive axle covers here, looks like. And now we start with the interior. This is the exact same steering wheel that is on my truck. The steering column looks awful familiar too. The dash is obviously a little bit different because this is a newer model truck than what I'm driving. And also, you know, it's a European cab over and not a North American. But we have lots of decals to go on the dash. So we have our instrument cluster. This looks like part of the truck diagnostic information. Goes over there. We have a decal for our switches and HVAC controls. More switches and HVAC. Steering column goes together there. And now we start into the interior. So we have our platform for the interior. So this is the underside, and these are the mud guards. So we got some mounts and the mud guards themselves that go down under there. These are the hinges, and these are part of the side steps. So this is for the exterior, and that's how you get up into the cab. So this goes under the driver's door. And now we have our seats. Holy crap, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts for each seat, plus photo etch seat belt. Wow. That's amazing. So we built 2 seats, put them on the interior, back plate. Okay, so this is the front edge of the underside of the bed. So there's going to be storage behind it. And put seats and dashboard in. And we have the interior side panels, grab handles. There's a couple of different building versions with this truck. And I will show you those when we look at the sprues. But you might have to cut something here. So these are the interior panels. So there's your bed, back cab wall. And we put our side panels in there. Another grab handle. And here is the roof for the inside of the cab. So we got some holes that we got to open up. Put in the front, side, and rear panels. And then attach that. More grab handles and bits and bobs. Oof. Okay, so side panels of the cab. You can build it open or closed. The panels come with this molded in, but you can cut it open and put in windows if you so choose. That's pretty cool. Door panels. 2 pieces, those go on. And there's also an option for the driver's door. You can cut the door open and they provide hinges, I think, to be able to open it. So we can drill out the roof for different horns and antennae. And we take our side panels with the rear cab panel and these are all the exterior panels, sorry. So they all go in together. Alternative closed version, and it mounts. Oh yeah, there's a sunroof too, by the way. That's a clear piece, goes over there. Stick that onto your assembled interior, or if you so choose to have the door open. So it does provide you with a hinge mechanism, looks like, to be able to open the door. Now we have the front of the cab going together. So this is all one piece, and we put in some shock absorbers and then the windshield, and then we have the handles, windshield wipers, and now we have a whole bunch of decals that can go in. And I'm surprised it doesn't show paint detailing, unless it's on this page. It is not. All right, so that goes on there. Now we build the mirrors. Wow. So we have the mirror mount, mirror body, the chrome decal, and then glass, a transparent piece to go over top. So that's your peep window over the passenger side door, and then we have another peep mirror for the left or the right front of the cab, which that's definitely not something we see around here in North America. This one, a lot of trucks have them. Mine currently doesn't. Our side view mirrors. So we have the mirror mount, and the wind deflector, the mirror housings, the reflective coatings, and then transparent piece, I guess, that goes on top of there. And then the hood, you can have it open or close as well, posable. So you can attach that, and you have some mounts here. And okay, so this looks like it's set up so that you can either have it open or closed, not necessarily that you can transition between the two. Challenge accepted. Bunch of little parts. This is a photo etch piece here, and another photo etch piece. So this goes on top, and this is for the grill. 2 photo etch pieces. Air deflectors around the front corners of the cab. Those are optional, depending on your taste. All right, now we have the air intake. So this goes in a couple of 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces to build this together. And then you stick it to the back of the cab, and there's a grab handle to go around it, and light mounts so that you can see behind you when you're backing up or if you're hooking up a trailer. So the whole cab, like I said, you can open it or close it. Looks like it's set up for everything to be open or everything to be closed, not be able to transition. Again, challenge accepted. To figure out how to make this posable depending on the situation. Because you would definitely want to have this all closed up for transport if you're taking it to a model show, for example. And now we have the grill, or the face of the truck, I guess. So here's a panel with the headlights. So we have headlights, driving lights, license plate, grill, photo etch for the grill, and more splash guards, mud guards maybe, more steps. And this looks like it's an air deflector for, yes, this goes above the windshield. The face of the truck goes on, and then we have air deflectors to go over the windows so that you can crack them open and not get wet. We have extra clearance lights here that go down on the bottom. That's something I see a lot with flatbed trucks, and on the end of trailers. I don't think it's legally required, but this kit gives you the option to put those in. We have a whole bunch of checker plate to go on. So there's this one giant piece that covers the whole deck, rear deck here. Another piece that goes behind the fifth wheel and then comes down at the back. And there's fifth wheel itself that goes on. And we have the option of installing the air horns and some antenna up there. And a whole bunch of clearance lights. All right, now we have the headboard. It usually has the company name on it and is illuminated, from what I can recall. And we have some emergency beacons, some more driving lights, a whole bunch of clearance lights that go onto there, and a bunch of different mounts. Two pieces for a roof basket that goes above the sunroof, headboard. And then you slam that all together and look, you've built the truck. And now we have some paint detailing instructions for the box art truck with red and white. It shows you where to put all the pinstriping decals. Oh, that's pretty cool. And then the rear of the truck, or front and rear. So Italian version for the license plate. See alternative or other countries. Paint callouts with Italeri paint, of course. Oh, also Tamiya. Oh, interesting. Except for the mica red is only Tamiya, and then the metal gloss silver is only Italeri. Huh, go figure. This is a really neat truck. So that's the instructions, and now we shall take a look at, here we have the photo etch tree. I hope you can see this. That's pretty cool. And the decal sheet we have here. So these are cartograph decals. And we have a whole bunch of pinstriping. Stripes for the outside of the truck. A whole bunch of black stripes. Mirror, instrument panel, warning labels, truck badges, engine callouts, and speed limit. This is how fast the truck can go. We have a whole bunch of license plates. What do we got here? Italy, France, Germany, Estonia, Denmark, Netherlands, Belgium, Austria, Switzerland, Sweden, Finland, Romania, Czechia, Poland. HR would be Bosnia and Herzegovina, Russia, and Great Britain. Look at that. So that's pretty cool. Now, on to the trees themselves. Alright, so now on to the trees for the Volvo. Give you an idea of what a kit a modern kit of a modern truck looks like. Even though this isn't, they don't have kits for trucks that we have here in North America. This is, modern kits for elsewhere in the world. So here we have our A tree. Looks like these are molded open. I thought they were closed and you had to cut them. Side of the cab, two sides. Then we have our upper front bulkhead, lower bulkhead with the headlight bezels all integrated. Air deflectors, this one's above the windshield. These are for the mirrors. Inner bulkhead for the cab, front of the cab wall, the rear cab wall, and then the roof with the sunroof part open. Now on to the B tree. Hope this all fits. Like I said, with this setup, I can't necessarily see what the camera can see. So this looks like the dashboard top. That's part of the interior somewhere. This is all interior parts, right? The seat back, steering column, steering wheel. These go on the door panels, the handles. Cab floor, cab roof. Is that the roof? That might be the roof. Air intake, that's not part of the interior. Whoops. Dashboard, bulkhead, grab handles, window surrounds maybe. That's part of the dash. Door panels, interior. Oh, this is what you have to cut out. Oh, right. I'm sorry. So these are the rear interior, or the rear inner panels for the cab. So the bed goes right, this is each end of the bed, right? So if you have the windows, then you have to cut these open. And then if you don't want to have the windows, you leave these alone and you have to add panels to the side of the cab. Okay. We got seat fronts. These are the parts that go above your head along the sides of the cab, I do believe. The cabinets for at the rear of the bunk, and then this goes above the driver's seat at the front. And we have the interior of the, so this is the underside of the roof. Yeah. All right, now we go on to the D tree. So this tree is part of the original tool, which is the full height cab. So on the Sprumanak in the instructions, it says, don't use these pieces. You don't need them. You probably could use them if you wanted to, I suppose. We have our side skirts. These are part of the steps. These are the corner air deflectors for the front of the cab. Block-off panels for the windows at the rear. And have a bunch of braces and delicate-looking things that I've already forgotten what they are for, even though we just looked at the instructions. Go me. All right. Moving right along to the E tree. There's a lot going on in here. So, looks like we have an air deflector of some sort, mudguard components, bracketry, air filter housing, more mudguards, airbags, brake cans, air tanks, intercooler radiator, radiator fan, mirrors, grill, mirrors, more mirrors, more steps, air intake, another air intake. Oh, different height air intakes for different roof heights. Now I get it. Seat bases, suspension components. This is for the cab suspension, more brackets, wheel hubs for the steers, more mudguards, battery box, more suspension or cab. Oh, these are the mirror mounts. So this is for the front cab peep mirror, and this is for the door on the passenger door. All right. Now, this is the F tree. So we have our beds, multiple beds. Oh, this is the upper bed for if you have the full height cab. This is the regular bed. Some more brackets, prop shaft, rear disc brake backing plates, wheel nut covers for the steers, the backing plates and spindles for the steers, fuel tanks. This is the burner for the exhaust, heat shields, diamond plate, tread plate, more tread plate, brackets. That looks like the air compressor, engine components for part of the turbo maybe, shocks, filters, more turbo, spinny boy bits, more brackets, tread plates, exhaust manifold, intake manifold, coolant tank, alternator, hoses and piping. That's part of the exhaust, more brackets, more piping, oil pan, valve cover, more filters, transmission bits. So this goes under the transmission. This is the rear of the transmission. This front cover for the engine. That goes on top of the transmission. I forget where that goes. Engine and transmission halves. This, I think this is a fuel filter. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Well, it's either the oil fuel filter or the air dryer. That both of them could look like that. We have some more belts, tensioners and stuff. Okay, now we go on to the G tree. So we have our two frame rails and the cross members that go in between them. Leaf springs for the front axle, brackets for the fuel tanks, maybe. Two halves for the axle, suspension, lower cross members for the rear, fifth wheel plate, more cross members, parts of the steering at the front, sway bar, brake cans, wipers, part of the rear suspension. That is the engine cross member, another engine cross member, air intake, housing, front axle, slider plates for the fifth wheel. There's the fifth wheel. These are suspension components for at the rear, shocks, air intake, brackets for stuff and things. I don't remember. Another sway bar for one of the front or rear axles. I forget which now already. Cool. All right. Now, as you know, I tend not to open the clear trees. H. This one is H. I hope this will show up because I really don't want to have to take this out of its bag. But I got our gigantic windshield, sunroof, headlight lenses, driving light lenses, side windows for the doors and the cab, an air deflector for the front, and a little extra added bit for this version. We got our beacons, spotlights for up top, and then reverse lights. And unique to this version is this L tree. So we get all of our checker plate here for the behind the cab on the chassis. This is behind the fifth wheel, and this is the rear of the frame. We have a unique air deflector for this version. We got a roof basket and all of the lights that go on there. And two parts for the headboard. We have the air deflectors for the side windows. More parts of the headboard. This goes in the back of the headboard for the driving lights, or no, for the beacon lights, sorry. And these are those extra clearance lights that go down at the bottom close to the ground. Yeah, that's cool. And now we have our M tree. So if you've built older Italeri truck kits, this is going to look completely different to you, because this is for the current generation of European truck kits. So we have our bigger wheels for the steers, and then the inner and outers for the rear. And we have different hub options for the rear axle, different hub options for the steer axle. So these are for the steer, and then these are the end caps that go with these. And the spare, and these are the other rim components. And then we finish it all off with our tire spider. So we have these massive, look at these. These are the steers. These are 385/55 R22.5. They are massive. Tubeless, regroovable. There's no brand on these. Huh. Italeri trucks usually always have Michelin tires. So these are the drives here. 315/70 R22.5. So we have our 2 steers. We have our 4 drives, and then the spare. We only have a drive for spare. So yeah. This truck, I actually have a plan of what I would like to do with it. There are conversion kits available out there to make it into a twin sprue, so with 2 rear drive axles. And then there is a heavy haul arm of a company in Quebec that's called Groupe Can-Am, and they make steel components for buildings and bridges and stuff. And to transport their stuff around, they have their own fleet of trucks and trailers and whatnot. And they were among the last companies in Canada that purchased new and were using Freightliner Argosies up until, Freightliner stopped making them. And their trucks look like this. So that's their delivery. And so I think I would like to paint this truck to look like that. So I got to try to find that paint code and then make up some decals. So that's what I want to do with this one. When that's going to happen, I don't know. Depends on when I can get the extra drive axle conversion and try to figure out the paint and graphics for that. But yeah, so that's what I want to do with this one. If you enjoyed what you saw with this new format, let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe, comment, share with your friends, share it with your enemies. If you liked what you saw, that's great. Show your support. If you didn't like what you saw, you don't have to do anything. I won't hold it against you. But thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you around next time.